We're going to call this meeting to order. We have a quorum, so that's good. Item number 2 is the agenda. I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
This Wayne, so moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. All right, so that passes. Approval, and hi, Mayor Graham, it's good to have you on. Approval of minutes from the November 9th, 2022 meeting. Oops, I'm sorry, public comment. Okay, wonderful. No public comment. I'm sorry. We always encourage public comment. Approval of the minutes from the November 9th, 2022 meeting.
This Wayne, so moved.
August 2nd.
Okay, are there any questions regarding the minutes? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that's the minutes. Number 5, the CAC, Citizens Advisory Committee Monthly Report.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the board. Jim Godfrey, Chair of the CAC. Just very briefly go over our meeting last week. So we set the bar. We only lasted an hour and 10 minutes. So the challenge is out there. So so anyway, the big thing, city presented 10 contracts, had some discussion on them, nothing major. All our questions were answered, and our recommendation is to approve. The county also had a contract and recommend approval for that as well. Manitou Springs brought a contract forward, and that likewise was we recommend approval on that. And the rest was pretty much information. We did do and recommend to you in your packet a change in the CAC bylaws to reflect doing the county's decision to do away with the Howie Advisory, the HAC. Those members, the bylaws stated that the county representation were representatives of the HAC. And so we had to change those bylaws to reflect appointed by the county commissioners. And in the process of doing that, the 3 HAC members abstained from voting. So that's the reason you see the 3 abstentions in that vote, that they felt like that it was in the best interest not to vote for or against that until they had been reappointed. So no contention there. But they just felt like that under advisement of legal that that they would abstain from voting. So other than that, we recommend approval of that bylaw. And I'm open to any questions.
Any questions? All right, there being no questions, thank you. We'll take a motion to accept, or we'll just accept the report. The next one is our monthly financial reports. Lisa.
Lisa Corey, Finance Manager for the PPRTA. The month I'm reporting is for October. Sales and use taxes are reported 2 months in arrears. So we received $13,260,045, which I am happy to report is above budget by $57,246. So that is 0.4% above our amended budget. And compared to October of last year, we are over by 6.8% or $838,987. Any questions on those?
Sorry, going backwards. I think that you usually do vote to accept items, don't you? Rick is nodding at me.
Okay. All right. So first, any questions on the monthly financial reports?
I just have a comment, which is I look here at a variation of 0.9% from budget. Predicting sales tax is no easy matter, so congratulations to our staff and
Very good.
Sorry, let me get closer to the mic here. It's hard to predict a budget that's solely reliant on sales tax, right? We have no property tax. We have nothing consistent. Every dollar we get is dependent on someone buying stuff. And so I appreciate the closeness we are. So congratulations to staff and those who help make the projection.
Okay. Thank you for the monthly financial report. In recalling item number 5, I will entertain a motion to accept the Citizens Advisory Committee monthly report.
Mayor Dixon also move.
Second, Mayor Graham.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that passes. All right, so we will now open the fiscal year 2023 budget public hearing and approval of budget. We will have a short description from Lisa about it, and then from Gail and Josh and Dole are going to tell us about their projects real quick.
Okay, so we are setting the budget to 150 million for 2023. My portion of that is the administrative budget, which is set to $798,400, which equates to 0.52% of the 1% allowable. Now we turn it over to the other member governments.
Okay, Gail, did you just want to go through your capital projects for next year?
Yes, ma'am. Gail Sturdivant, City of Colorado Springs City Engineer, Deputy Public Works Director. For our capital budget, after that 150 million, a city's allocation was $58,462,072. In addition to those funds, the city included 3 line item transfers to continue making up our 23 budget. We transferred $500,000 from the Platte Avenue Bridge to El Paso County Bridge, the El Paso Bridge Replacement Project. And we also took $450,000 from the Midland Trail Project and reallocated that $450,000 split evenly between the Sinton Trail and the Templeton Gap Trail. Reason why we were able to do that, the work that was anticipated under the Midland Trail line item for the A-list project was completed with the West Colorado Avenue project. So that project was already complete. The city's projects allocation of those funds included additional funding to the I-25 Nevada Tejon ramps in the amount of $450,000 and the Las Vegas Royer UPR crossing closure or relocation and $3,569,162. We continued funding for the 8th Street project, South Academy, Black Forest Road, and Circle Drive bridges, as has been shown in our capital improvement program for some time. Any questions for me?
All right, any questions? Okay, Mr. Palmer, El Paso County.
Good afternoon, Josh Palmer, El Paso County Engineer. For 2023, the county's proposed budget for our capital program, we are looking to allocate $5.7 million to Beacon Light Road. We are finalizing design on that project, and we believe that this allocation will fully fund the entire project. We had split that project up into 2 phases for constructability. So both phases comprising the whole project were expected to be fully funded with this allocation. The same is for Deer Creek. We are allocating 1.6 million to Deer Creek. Again, expecting that to be fully funded. We are in the final phases of design for that as well. Eastonville Road, $5.2 million. We believe that this is fully funded. We have taken a kind of a phased approach to this project. So we're designing the entire corridor and constructing the major portion, the middle portion, which is Snafflebit to Londonderry. Then we have some developer commitments for Londonderry North, and if we can get to phase B, then any additional funds will go south from Snafflebit. And then the final capital project is Highway 105 for the remainder amount, $10,933,022. We believe that this will fully fund. So phase A is fully funded. We're finalizing design. We're going to be going to construction, for construction in January, maybe February. Phase B will take us from Lake Woodmore to Martingale. We're still in the 60% range for design on that. So based on our engineer's estimate, we believe that this will get us closer to fully funded for that. But until we complete design, we won't know for sure. So, but for Beacon Light, Deer Creek, and Eastonville, we believe those are all fully funded, and all four of these projects are going to go to construction in 23. So it'll be a busy, expensive year for the county. So,
And 3 of them are right up in the same area. That'll be
exactly. So
fun.
it'll be fun driving around in your neck of the woods. So you're welcome.
Okay. Any questions? Mr. Williams?
Do have a question for both the city and county. So this is the next to last year of RTA 2. Based on the budget proposals that are here, how much is left, if any, that needs to be done in 24 in the A list? Because I think we may need, depending on that answer, part of what we'll have to do this next year is figure out which of those B list projects are going to get funded.
I'll go first. At the only 2 projects that I anticipate needing additional funding would be Highway 105 and South Academy. So we didn't account for South Academy. I kind of planted the seed a few months ago that we were working through some value engineering and de-scoping on that project. So based on the preliminary numbers that we're seeing from our consultant, we're getting a lot closer to our budget. But so Highway 105 and South Academy are the only 2 projects that we would anticipate having additional funding needs in 24.
And how much of the county's allocation in 24 do you anticipate those projects using up? Rough percent.
The bulk of it, 80%, 90%. Yeah.
Okay.
South Academy, it's kind of, well, they're both kind of flyers right now, just because we're not quite sure with phase B. And we do have a commitment based on the language and the ballot language from RTA 2 to do something for for phases C through E on Highway 105. Once we get a better understanding of what's going to be required to finish out phase B, we're going to put together a design plan or a project plan for the remainder, and that'll kind of determine how much money we're going to need from what's remaining in 24 for Highway 105.
Okay. So on the county's share, there might be room in 24 for a small B project. Is that accurate?
Small, accurate, yes.
Okay.
Small,
Gail.
accurate.
Yeah.
Yes, Mr. Williams. When the city goes through and does their quarterly report, we also look at projections, both in a conservative and an optimistic, and we give a range. Right now in our published quarterly report, our range is between 4.8 and 24.9 million. I think realistically, we're going to be in about that $17 million range at the end of PPRTA 2 when all our projects are fully funded.
17 million left for category B.
Yes.
Okay. So it seems like, right. And the requirement, as I understand the ballot language, is that all projects in A have to be fully funded. They don't have to be fully complete, because that wouldn't make sense. So I guess I would. RTA 1 did not reach that stage. We got all of the A projects done and none of the B. And so I just would ask the city and county, as you prepare and go forward, to start anticipating what B project you're going to seek to move into that category.
Mr. Williams, the city is working with us, and we've been collaborating with the county on that very specific topic. And we're also looking at ways to accelerate the construction of Mark Shuffle, and I can talk about that a little bit more later. But we've been focused on looking at what funds we're going to have at the remainder of PPRTA 2 to support our B-list projects. And when we did RTA 3 planning and looked at the funding for the Powers North extension, we're hoping that between the board's management reserve with what the city can have and the county to have upwards to $40 million on the high end to go towards complement the monies we have planned for PPRTA 3 to go towards that project.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Go ahead, Commissioner Gonzalez.
Thank you. So what would be the earliest monies could be utilized for Project B's next year for the city or the county based on the anticipated revenue?
So after this meeting today, the PPRTA staff and the county and I are actually going to be meeting. We've been working on the definition of completely funded. And I think fulfilling and bringing that back and presenting that to the board for their concurrence on what completely funded means would be the benchmark to determine what could be available for spending on the B-list projects in advance of 2025. So the time estimate, we had been planning to bring something back to the board. I think it was in the March or April timeframe on that board. Is that, the time?
So once the definition is completed, which would be sometime between January and March, then we would be able to determine whether or not we had extra money for B-list projects.
I think that would be an accurate description and I think Josh is working on this as well. Again, we're projecting out all of our programs through 2024 and what funding could be available at the end. If we could demonstrate that our projects were fully funded or completely funded in accordance with that policy, there is an opportunity for the board to tell us if funding could be available for B-list projects. So I would suspect towards the end of Q2, Commissioner Gonzalez.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate that. That helps me out quite a bit.
Director Helms and then Mayor Pro Tem Gardine.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Gail, can you comment a little bit more? You'd mentioned that the powers extension. Can you talk a little bit about that, about whether it was going, did I understand it right, that you were going to have some additional funding to start before before January of 25?
So when we planned PPRTA 3 and knowing that was a major project, it was going to be a huge sink on our over capital funds. We looked at what would be available left over from PPRTA 2 because that is a B-list project. Unfortunately, both Jennifer and Bev aren't here, but when we worked on the number, we thought there's a potential to be up to $40 million available at the end of PPRTA 2 that could be applied to that project. We were anticipating a total project cost in around $140 million. So assuming PPRTA 2 had 40 million, Josh and I have split the 100 million, 70-30, and we've been working on programming that out. One of the things I will have for you likely next month that will show what the potential funding plan could be for the city for PPRTA 3, but overall between Mark Shuffle, Powers, and some of the bigger things that we have early on in the program, and some of those things that we've been asked to accelerate if possible.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Mayor Gardine, Mayor Pro Tem.
On the page 19 on the packet, you have a maintenance program and you have a 2023 budget with carryovers for $39 million. I don't understand.
So we end up paying a lot of invoices in the last quarter of the month, but when we prepare the budget, we still have invoices lingering back. I think it's as far back as July. So we carry a lot of carryover up until the very last month of the year. Our projection for the carryover at the end, I think, is around $10 million. I actually show it in the quarterly report.
It says here that $39,769,951.
Right. And that's based on what we get from PPRTA in the ledger. And I think that we get it in August or September. And we're usually 30 to 60 days in arrears for paying invoices as it goes, as a contractor incurs costs and submits invoices. So that's a lot of money we've actually already spent or obligated. And that is just based on what's available. What we're projecting at the end, and I'll turn to the back here. We're projecting closer to, actually this year we're projecting around $16 million in carryover into 23.
I thought we found a whole bunch of money for the B schedule.
Well, this is maintenance money. Remember, it's 35% that's dedicated to maintenance activities that cannot be applied to the capital projects.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. All right, that very good explanations. We're making Gail tired. She's really having to put her here. She's out those numbers over there. Dole, did you want to come up and tell us about Manitou?
Sure, happy to. Dole Grebenik, city engineer for Manitou Springs. Ours is fairly easy for 2023. We're allocating all of our capital improvement funds to our transit shuttle, which we call our Hiawatha Garden site. So that's our plan.
Okay. And then anything else for Green Mountain, Calhan, and Rama? Oh, wonderful. Green Mountain, we have a city engineer here.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Becky Frank, Town Manager, Green Mountain Falls.
Nice to meet you, Becky.
Nice to meet you also. Also for 2023, the Town of Green Mountain Falls budget is very simple. It is a budgeted amount for capital improvements from PPRTA funds of $0. This is because the town put the project, our last A-list project out to bid for the Stilling Basins project. It's currently about 75% complete. Ran into some weather constraints, so it'll be wrapped up early spring of 2023. In the meantime, that project did come out way over what we anticipated it was going to cost. We are thankful that we were able to borrow from the PPRTA capital reserves to get this project completed. So our 2023 repayment will actually occur rather than a budgeted amount.
Okay, but we get a good project done.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you.
Anyone else with highlights for your 88,000 or whatever it is for pavement?
Well, Callian, we're going to be doing a lot of repair work itself to the roads and the overlay and to street signs, but we're really having a good time on the cost increase on every piece of material going into anything. But that's what we're working on.
In Rama?
We've got a for the 2023 budget round here, Michael. Sorry.
There it is. There we go. For the 2023 budget amount of 8,000, get it 8,475,000 with an anticipated carryover of 44,328 for the following possible projects of the drainage improvements through town, intersection maintenance, tree trimming and repairs on corners and street signs.
Okay, wonderful. All right, so now that we have discussed the budget, we will open the public hearing for the budget and ask if there's any public comment regarding the budget, either online or in the room.
I don't see anyone.
Okay, there being no public comment, we will close the public hearing. And then we can entertain a motion to approve the 2023 Pikes Peak RTA budget.
This Wayne, I'd move, wait, attorney?
Oh,
Go ahead.
I was.
the attorney keeps me straight.
I'll critique the motion after we make it.
Okay.
The pressure's on now.
No, I'd move approval of the budget and the expenditures that are set forth in it. And then subject to whatever additions our attorney wants to add to it.
Appropriating the funds.
And appropriating the funds, which I meant by expenditures, but we'll use the official language. In doing that, I want to just note that first, thank you again to PPACG, Andy and your crew, for continuing to exceed the promise to the voters, where we promised no more than 1%, and it's less than 3/5 of that. So thank you. And I'm excited to have this discussion of how to address a B-list project. And I think it makes a lot of sense to look at advancing one of those a B list that's also an A list because it's been specifically approved by the voters. And so I appreciate the work that's being done there. And I think we're in a very good position. Thanks to the hard work of our staff and the staff of the jurisdictions to deliver on the promises made. So, thanks.
Okay, do we have a second to that motion?
I'll second John Graham.
Okay. Any further comments?
This is Commissioner Gonzalez.
Go ahead.
I want to thank staff for all the great work on this. I do appreciate also the discussions on the B list. I asked several questions last month of staff, all greatly answered. There's at least one project on the city's list that's overlapping into some funding in the county. And if there can be some moving up of B list, I think there's an opportunity to alleviate any concerns of partial funding from the county, which I think we still want to partially fund this URA project. But I think that it sounds like there's some opportunity there that it can also be paid for as originally promised in PPRTA 2 with PPRTA dollars as well. Thank you. And I'll be supporting.
Okay. All right. So the motion on the table is to approve the 2023 budget and also appropriate the funds so that we can spend them. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the budget passes unanimously. Thank you, staff, for your efforts on that. Now we will go into, sorry, I did not change the agenda, but I'll just take the chairman's privilege. We're going to hear from the City of Manitou Springs first under 8C. Since I'm only chair one more month, I can have one privilege. Is that right?
Thank you for doing that. I do appreciate that, Gail. Thanks for letting me jump ahead of you for the second time in a row. 2 times. Okay, Gail, thank you. Manitou Springs brings one contract to your attention today. I mentioned a moment ago that we're putting all of our capital improvement allocation for the next year into this site. This design contract is with our existing architect, and this design effort is going to take it from some conceptual drawings on a piece of paper to actual renderings, textures, colors, and get it Manitou-ized, for lack of a better term, so it meets all of our historic preservation requirements and fits in with our community.
Any questions? Okay, seeing no questions, I would entertain a motion to move approval of the City of Manitou Springs contract.
Mayor Dixon also move.
I'll second John Graham.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, that passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, the City of Colorado Springs.
Madam Chair, Gail Sturdivant, City of Colorado Springs. City is presenting 10 contracts today. The first one is for Mark Shuffle Road improvements from Carefree to Dublin. This is for a large design change order that includes several items to include an annexation plat, separate bid packages for Barnes and Mark Shuffle, redesign of access and side streets that have changed, meeting the new water quality and stormwater criteria, adding retaining walls that are now required, widening a sidewalk that was planned to a multi-use trail, administrating the CMCG contract, and 404 permits that are required for this project now. The amount of this change order is $882,245 to Wilson and Company. I will mention that the city did go out to bid with a CMCG contract for construction of the Barnes and Mark Shuffle intersection, and we did receive 6 bids. And you will see me bring a contract back either in January or February to get that work going in that area. City's second contract is for Rusty Kills Pavement Phase 2. There's a location map included in your contract or included in your packet. This is for a design modification as well for Kimley Horn in the amount of $116,400. This change order includes pavement design modifications, additional utility coordination, drainage outfall, hydraulic analysis, in coordination with Colorado Springs Utilities and engineering services during construction. We do have bids out. I believe they're officially on the street right now for paving of the next phase, which includes Peyton Circle south of Brady Road as our base bid. And then we have an ad alternate for the Brady Road east of Broken Circle Road and Pronghorn Lane. So hopefully we're successful in that. We can get as much of that paved as possible. The city's third contract is for the PPRTA Capital Improvements Program and Bridge Asset Management Staffing Services. The city has been working with Nolte and NV5 for the past 18 years, but it was the time for us to go out and resolicit it in the marketplace for those services. The city did receive 3 proposals. Ellis Gallegos was the selected firm. So those of you who were here early, I did get a chance to introduce Larry Gallegos, the owner of Ellis Gallegos, and both my new program manager and deputy program manager, Rick Clark and Keith Fabig. The amount of that contract is $4,376,238, and they provide services for program management for project managers, a bridge asset manager, inspection, bridge and construction inspectors, admin, procurement, and project control staff to support our team.
I should stop you there and ask, are there any questions? And Ellis Gallegos team, wave your hands. It's always fun to have them here, I think, to have some other workers here. Okay. Thank you. Go ahead. Number 4.
Number 4, there's also a location map in your packet for number 4. It's the 31st and Fontanero Roundabout project. This is a project that was identified as being needed when they did the Camp Creek study following Waldo Canyon fire. It includes both drainage improvements, and there was some transportation improvements to include a few bridges, one of which is this one located at Fontanero Street. Reason why we have roundabout in this title, this project has already gone through an environmental assessment. It's gone through public engagement. This is going to be to get the design going so we can get this into construction here in the near future. This project also has federal funding associated with it, but that funding is for construction. The city did go through an RFP process. 2 proposals were received. Wilson and Company was selected to perform the work, and their contract amount is $596,662.53. Questions on that one? All right, now we're going to go into a handful of maintenance contracts. So I know these are always exciting.
And don't worry about it. We're not going to make 206.
Okay.
So.
Oh,
You can slow down.
so much pressure. Contract number 5 is for our PPRTA dig out and patch program. City went through an RFP process. We received 3 proposals. 2 contractors were selected: Trax Construction and Elite Surface Infrastructure. The city intends to award initially issue $0 value, 0 on-call contracts with the intent to issue up to $500,000 in work as needed over 2023. This contract, that is the base year, and this contract has 4 option years. The next contract number 6, is the PPRTA on-call and ADA concrete program. The city went through an RFP process. 9 proposals were received. 6 contractors were selected to perform various concrete work to include sidewalk, curb and gutters, ramps, and other ancillary concrete needs. Again, these contracts will be issued on an on-call basis with a total anticipated value up to $10 million distributed each of those distributed to those contractors as needed. And there are 4 option years available this contract with renewal and price updates. Contract number 7 is for truncated domes. Those are the bumpy red pieces that go at the bottom of your ramps. Your city went through an RFP process. We received 1 proposal. It was determined to be responsive and competitive by the city's procurement office. That was going to be awarded to Myers Construction in the amount of $150,000. That is for the base year, and the city has an option to exercise 4 option years. Contract number 8 is for pipelining. The city went through an RFP process, received 3 proposals. 1 was selected. This proposal was for a specific body of work. It's to perform pipelining at 9 locations in advance of PPRTA maintenance work. So these are pipes that are associated with PPR work. The bid was for $779,800 for American West. Questions on that? 2 more. Contract number 9 is for sidewalk vertical displacement mitigation. The city went through an RFP process. 1 proposal was received. It was determined to be responsive and competitive in accordance with the city's procurement practices. This is for if you have any sidewalk displacement that creates a tripping hazard with this contract, this contractor can go down to grind down those surfaces to make sure that we have an appropriate transition. So it's an ADA compliant pedestrian accessible path. That was awarded to Precision Concrete Cutting. For the first year, it's the value is $175,000 and there are 4 option years available in the contract. All right, contract number 10. Cartograph license renewal. This is the software package the city uses for asset management. We use it in particular for PPRTA for pavement management, for our bridges and for retaining walls, just to give you an idea, in addition to the concrete ADA compliance. We split this cost throughout other departments within the city. The PPRTA portion for this is $66,525.46. This is the first option year on the 5-year total contract value. Questions on this or any of the 10 contracts that I presented today?
Seeing none, this way, I'll move approval of city contracts.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the city contracts. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the city contracts pass. Item number 8B is the El Paso County contracts.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Josh Palmer, El Paso County Engineer. The county has 1 contract to present for approval today. This is a contract that we procured via an IFB process. We received 3 bids for the construction of the Mesa Ridge Parkway Mark Shuffle intersection. So this intersection design construction for the signals. So this is part of the larger Mesa Ridge Parkway project, but the traffic study indicated that the warrants at this intersection for a traffic signal were met now. So we expedited the design and the construction funding for this portion of the project. Like I said, we received 3 bids. They were all lumped pretty closely together. We selected Sturgeon Electric Company for a contract amount of $668,995. For reference, there was a question during the last week during the advisory committee about how this cost compared to our engineer's estimate. Our engineer's estimate for this was $510,000 and some change, which is pretty consistent with what we're seeing for increased material prices for all the signal components, which we're seeing about 15 to 20% price increase for materials. So the fact that all 3 of the bids were within $12,000 of each other, so shows that it's an accurate expectation of cost for construction right now. So we are requesting approval for award to Sturgeon Electric for this contract.
Okay, if there are no questions, I will entertain a motion.
I'll move approval, John Graham.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that passes. Thank you. All right, Lan, you are up for the transit report.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of PPRTA Board. My name is Lan Rao, Transit Administrator, Acting Transit Services Manager. In your packet is our regular monthly report focusing on October ridership information. In summary, we're observing about 76 to 77% pre-pandemic ridership in October, and we continued monitoring the information from Zero Fare and see if the riders were able to continue to ride transit, and we did not see that trend. So in other words, the October ridership is similar to September and previous year. So that's what we are observing. Year to date, we are projecting around 70% fixed route ridership back for this year compared to pre-pandemic. And on the ADA paratransit side, we're looking at over 90% that we're projecting for the ridership. Also included in your packet is a quick summary, a report on our mobile ticketing. We implemented this project, started implementation in May 2022, and due to the supply chain delay, we're still waiting on a smart card to be shipped to us. So, however, we were able to implement the first phase of the project where you can download an app on your phone from the App Store, either Apple or Google. It's a yellow app called Ride MMT, and you are able to purchase tickets and also upload funds to your account to purchase ticket. The first report is by dollar amount. So from May to October, we have seen a steady increase with the exception of August because it was free in the month of August. The highest dollar amount purchase is 31 day pass, followed by 20 ride ticket, 1 ride and day pass. Then we looked at how how people are purchasing using the mobile app. We see based on quantity, majority of the tickets that are being sold and purchased are 1 ride tickets, followed by day pass, 20 ride, and 31 day passes. We plan to do more promotion once we are fully implementing the project, hopefully by mid-2023 is what we're projecting. A couple more updates that we're not able to make it to the report is we are starting a contractor transition for our fixed route operations from Red PDev, the current contractor, to TransDev, who is our current operator of ADA paratransit contract. We've had very good experience with them in the past, and they are doing a fantastic job transitioning into the new contract. We're looking at 22 people, drivers in training this week, with additional 8 to start this week. So we're very hopeful we'll have more drivers available. We are also preparing for our triennial audit, which is reviewed by the Federal Transit Administration every 3rd year. They look at, there are 23 areas included in that review, and we are subject to 20 out of the 23 areas. And the due date for the initial questions and answers to the FTA is February the 3rd next year.
Okay, that makes a busy month. Are there any questions? Director Avila and then Director Williams.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And Len, thank you for the report. So how many drivers are we short now?
Currently, right now, our shuttle operation and local fixed route are separate. We are looking at combined 170 drivers with more short. However, once we combine the 2 contracts under the same contractor, we're looking at 162 drivers needed, and currently we're 39 short.
We're 39 short?
Yes.
And when do you think we'll be able to make that up?
I don't have an exact date, but we just looking at the trend, we're pretty hopeful this contractor will be able to bring and hire more drivers.
So, okay. So we combine the shuttle and the.
We will. Yes, we will.
I think that's really good. I just have a comment. You know, sometimes the shoemakers' kids have no shoes. And here we're going on 2 years, and this is not just you, but and it's not actually you at all. There's a lot of barriers to or access problems to taking the bus. For instance, we're going on almost 2 years that there's construction at the apartments on Colorado and Chestnut. And I took the bus here, and Ashley and I took the bus here, and this has been going on for a long time. That whole area on Chestnut to go to Colorado, we had to walk outside on Colorado on the street to come here, and we couldn't even come through Chestnut. I mean, there's not even a walkway to use on either side of Chestnut to get to here to PPACG. And the reason I say is like, why we're taking care of, transit. And my understanding is that the city has allowed this apartment complex to block off that road and use it without having an accommodation. It's quite dangerous. And it's also a barrier to using transit. So I just wanted to put that to everybody out here on this board. So, and let you know too, part of the issues, like you can have the buses and the drivers and get us here and there, but if we're not doing our part in creating that access, well, it doesn't do as much good. That's my comment for today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Director Williams.
Just to follow up with Yolanda's questions there. You talked about ridership being down, but when you read the opening, you find out that a number of routes either aren't running or are running at reduced times. And so it makes it very hard to compare ridership if you don't have the routes. Correct. And so is there, I would be interested in at one of our meetings, doesn't need to be today, shouldn't be today, but January, February timeframe. For the routes that are running at the same frequency, how does their ridership compare? Because right now we're comparing apples and corn. I mean, they're not even close, because if you don't have the route or you don't have the frequency,
People can't ride.
And so it's not a ridership. I don't know if it's a ridership issue.
It's a whole system.
It's a system issue. Yes. And I'm glad we are looking at a different contractor that hopefully will be able to get this, because I mean, for all of us, it's been a couple of years where we've been hearing the excuse that we don't have enough drivers. And I accept that for a couple months, but I am glad that we are making a transition to try to get sufficient drivers, because there are people who very much need that transit. There are others who might take it if it was convenient, and the current system is not working when we're 39 drivers short. So
yes, agreed.
Are in the new contract with the new contractor, are there specific incentives and or penalties to have sufficient drivers?
Yes, there are.
Okay.
Liquidated damage is in there, and their official start date is February 1st.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for that report. The City of Colorado Springs monthly change order. Yeah.
Yeah, yes, ma'am. Both the city's change order log and the update on real estate services are provided in your packet for your information, and I'm available for questions.
Okay. Are there any questions? Josh, the El Paso County monthly change order.
Likewise, our property acquisition report and change order log are available. I am here to answer any questions you might have.
Okay. Thank you. And now we'll go to 9D quarterly reports. Rick.
These are the quarterly reports that are required to be submitted per the comprehensive IGAs. That's information only. I'd be glad to take any questions or refer those questions to the applicable member government.
Okay, and we appreciate the member governments for preparing those reports. Item number 10A, Rick, would you like to tell us about our appointment and reappointment process?
Certainly. This is just an information item, a reminder that board directors are appointed by their respective member governments on an annual calendar year basis. And we would appreciate a written confirmation of your appointments from your respective board of trustees or city councils or board of county commissioners. Also, a reminder that at your January meeting, you'll need to pick your chair, and that this for 2023 would be from the city directors, and the vice chair would be from the county directors. Just,
Okay.
reminders.
Go ahead.
Just to comment. So yesterday, the city passed the resolution or ordinance or what do we call it yesterday for the letter to appoint the same 3 members who are here today. So you'll see that letter coming.
Very good. Thank you.
Okay, item 10B is the appointment of a couple new members of the CAC.
Per the board policy, the board delegates to a subcommittee of the board, which is the board chair, board vice chair, and the CAC chair, the responsibility to screen or receive applications, screen and interview CAC applicants for open CAC seats. This year we have 1 at-large regular open seat just vacated by Joan Lucia Treese, and then 3 at-large alternate seats, 2 for 2-year terms and 1 for 1-year term to keep the staggering that's required in the CAC bylaws. So the subcommittee is recommending to the full board for appointment Brandy Williams for a 3-year term to the at-large regular seat, Mr. excuse me, Russell McPadden to an at-large alternate seat for a 2-year term, Mr. Fidel Lee for a 2-year term at-large alternate, and Mr. Rich Zamora to a 1-year term as an at-large alternate.
Okay, are there any questions regarding the appointment to the CAC? Go ahead, Mr. Williams.
Not a question, just a comment that knowing all 4 of those individuals, I think y'all did a great job of selecting people. And hopefully Mr. Zamora picked up something in his days at CDOT where he'll be able to provide some good insight.
He did give us permission to go after CDOT as much as we would like.
So for those who may not be aware, he was the regional director for District 2. And so and I think that'll be some good input. And then Brandy is a former city council member and is the city of Fountain engineer, I think will also provide, as well as Russ and Fidel, who are both folks that I've interacted with on a number of occasions. So I support that and I move approval.
Do we
want a second?
Okay, we have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that passes unanimously. The revision to CAC bylaws. Rick.
Yes. The Board of County Commissioners has determined that the county's Highway Advisory Commission is no longer needed. In fact, they approved a resolution dissolving the HAC. And the reason that impacts PPRTA is because the current bylaws, which match the original bylaws for the CAC, stated that the 3 county appointed CAC members had to be Highway Advisory Commission members. And now that there's no longer a Highway Advisory Commission, we have to amend the board needs to amend the CAC bylaws to change the appointing body from the Highway Advisory Commission to the Board of County Commissioners. So that's the change that is being requested to revise the CAC bylaws.
Okay, are there any questions? All right, there being no questions, I'll entertain a motion to approve the CAC bylaws.
Also move.
I'll second John Graham.
Can I ask one question?
Director Williams?
So part of it, I'm just trying to make sure. Okay. So although we talk about the board, we've defined the board as the El Paso County Commissioner. So I just wanted to clarify that, because as I'm reading the implementing part is just talking about the board. And so I think I got that answered by going back and looking further back in it. So thanks.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. All right. There are no opposed. That passes unanimously. Now we're ready for Dan Jablan. And he does look more relaxed than he normally does during the legislative session. And he says he loves the legislative session. So.
There we go. Hi, Madam Chair, Board. Thank you. It's good to see everybody in person. Just not obviously not a big legislative update as they're not in yet. But it does start on the 9th this year. I think the one thing I do want to make, and everyone knows this already, I think what's going to make one of the things going to make the session very interesting is there is no money for the state to spend. They are essentially out of money and they haven't started yet. I heard a report from the JBC. They have like $50 million that's not counted for, and they have several $1 billion of people that got one-time ARPA funds that are in line to try to get a little bit of the state budget. So I think although the JBC is a very powerful and important committee, I think they might have drawn the short straw this year, because they're going to be under a lot of pressure to try to keep people's programs going that they funded last year with ARPA money. So I think that it's going to be wild to watch. The one thing where it says who won the elections, I will tell you, and when you may know this better than I do, you may go back in history. I didn't go back and look at this. I would say that this is the first time that I can remember there will actually now be more female legislators. There will be 51 female legislators and 49 male legislators. And I don't know that that's ever happened before. So I think that was very interesting, and maybe a statement by the voters on that. Everyone knows the numbers. I'm happy to go over them, but I think yesterday and today the committees have come out. The results of the election, I think, are the things that we have to really work hard to manage, because the House Transportation Committee, where a lot of our bills will end up, is a 9-4 committee, right? So fortunately, we have some friends in the majority party there, but that's a 9-4 committee. And the Transportation Committee in the Senate is a 5-2 committee. That makes things a little more challenging if a bill gets dropped that we don't like. Also, Finance is a 4-3 committee. We do have some good friends in the Senate Finance Committee, if need be, on that. But the House Finance Committee is an 8-3 committee. So those are the kind of things in the election that make things a little more challenging for us if bills get dropped that we like or don't like, to make those changes, is the committee makeups as far as that. So that's something that I'll be keeping a really close eye on. And really what that means to us, and you guys have been great about this, and really what it means to me is if we do see something that's a problem or we have interest in, we're going to have to drop on it really quickly to get things handled in a more expedient manner, just because we're going to have to get to more people and really find champions in the majority party if there's something we like or don't like that needs to get done. So, I mean, that's sort of the outlook I see for us moving forward. But I do think we're going to have to keep a really close eye on fees and enterprise funds and things of that nature, because there just is not funding money available, or not much money available in the state budget right now for other projects. And I'll answer any questions. Rick's got one.
Go ahead, Rick.
Since it sounds like you've emphasized that we might need to be on defense for bills that drop that are not in our interest. Maybe we could think about, maybe the board could think about between now and the January 11 board meeting. You said the session starts on the 9th.
9th, but they'll do 2 weeks of smart hearings and things of that.
If we do need to take action between board meetings, possibly the board could discuss on the 11th, whether or not the board wants to establish a subcommittee such as the board chair and vice chair to allow to hear from Dan through me to the board chair and vice chair to take some action. Just something to think about in the next month.
Absolutely. That's probably going to be a good recommendation.
And that'll be great. And I'm available 24/7. So if you need something, reach out to me by text, call, whatever. My kids are grown and gone, and this is what I do. So I'm good with whatever needs to get done. And I think one other thing, and I don't know that we've never done this, and I do think that maybe we should look for areas that might be helpful to the RTA, given the political environment, that maybe we can get something in a more proactive fashion if there's something that matches what this legislature needs and wants as well. So I do think we just have to be a little bit more aware that there's not an even split and that we're going to have to act quickly if anything good or bad does happen. But we have friends that are the committee chairs, and so I'm not overly worried about that. We'll definitely be able to get the audiences we need.
I love the comment that the state legislature doesn't have any money, because that means it sounds like the citizens may have won the election. But go ahead, Director Williams.
Implicit in what you just said, Dan, when you started giving the numbers, is I think a very intentional design by President Fenberg and Majority Leader Marino to have a committee that is not overwhelmingly one party. And they've created, I think, 3 of those. And I was visiting with the Senate Finance Chair yesterday. And part of their goal, I think, in doing that is to have some committees that could backstop crazy legislation or get things passed that may need to be done, because they weren't even in how they divided the committees. You talked about a 5-2 and then a 4-3. And so what that means, though, is the very first decision of which committee it goes to becomes more critical than I think it ever has been before. And so when you talk about needing to act quickly, I think that's one of the things that we will need from you, is to be monitoring bills as they're coming through and trying to influence, if necessary, their assignment to a committee that is receptive to the needs of the Pikes Peak RTA. And I think President Fenberg and Majority Leader Marino intentionally created the committees that way. And so we'll just need to make sure we use what they have provided.
Totally agree. Thank you for that comment. And the other thing we have to watch, like the Transportation Committee in the House has 13 members, 11 of them are freshmen.
Ooh.
Right. So those are the things we have to be aware of. And I've talked to the leadership of all 4 of the caucuses, and what's amazing is they are all horrified. All 4 of them for different reasons, though, right? I mean, but all 4 of them have absolutely no idea how they're going to manage their caucuses in the direction that the session is going to go, and all 4 of them for different reasons. And I found that really very fascinating. And it's just something we'll just have to be aware of and continue to manage. And it's going to be a fun session. Yeah, I think that one of the Democratic chambers is concerned that they're going to have to be the backstop, because there'll be very, very progressive legislation coming over that they feel they may have to protect the governor from having to sign. I do think that some of the Republican and one of the Democratic caucuses is afraid that if they do something and overreach, there's not enough Republicans in the capital in order, there's not enough blame to go around. Things are either going to go really good or really bad. And I think that there are people at Republican leadership that are working really hard to keep their caucuses together and remain relevant due to their small numbers. And how do they do that given the political environment? So those are some of the big concerns. And I think to Commissioner Williams' point, I think they tried to set up some committees to maybe set up some backstops that can protect what they would consider either far right or far left legislation that may be a target in the next election. So, and they're just trying, like I said, and there's some folks that are just trying to remain relevant and keep their parties together so that they can have something to talk about in 2024. So I think it's going to be a really interesting year to watch the leadership on all of them.
Okay, very fascinating. Thank you very much for your report.
Thank you.
All right, item number 11 is an executive session. I think there's no need. Is that correct, Jennifer?
Not unless anybody has surprise legal questions for me. I have nothing to report today.
I didn't text you any on your way down.
Okay, no surprise legal questions. Item number 12, are there any PERTA member announcements? Go ahead, Gail.
To Madam Chair, I want to thank the PPRTA board support for the city's application for the Colorado Municipal League bridge grant. We did find out this past week we were successful, or at least partially successful, in partially funding for another bridge, also on that Camp Creek corridor at Water Street. So we'll be working on that funding package. So thank you for that. And then I wanted to let you know I plan on attending the board meeting next month, but I will be in virtual or attending virtually.
Okay, thank you. All right, without any more member announcements, we are going to wish everybody a wonderful holiday season, and we're looking forward to starting a new year next year. And with that, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All right, there's a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Oh, one question.
Is it, did we beat the CAC or not?
We did not beat the CAC. Unfortunately, Director Williams talks too much. Okay, everybody have a wonderful holiday. We'll see you next year.